So a lot of people had some issues with me comparing KCM Minato to KCM Naruto in the past in some of my previous videos. For example, my Minato versus Obito video. If you haven't checked that one out, definitely be sure to go watch that one. But before I get into exactly who would win in a fight between these two, I wanted to talk a little bit about the KCM mode transformation itself. Is it's a big part of what these two share in common, right? Now, for those who don't know, KCM stands for Kurama Chakra Mode, or Tailed Beast Chakra Mode, and it's essentially a transformation greater than Sage Mode that also enhances all the senses on top of strength and speed. It's utilized when Naruto forcefully takes control of the Nine Tails Chakra while being guided by Killer Bee. This transformation is pretty obvious and easy to spot, as he appears to be covered in flames with new patterns that were not previously shown, along with visible stomach seal swirl. Now, the ability grants the user access to chakra arms, negative emotion sensations, and mini bijou bombs, as since KCM 1 isn't really a mastery of Kurama's power, bijou bombs are kind of difficult to produce, and the Kurama avatar is essentially impossible until KCM 2. When we're talking about the speed of KCM Naruto and KCM Minato, we can already kind of scale Naruto using some previous feats. For example, he was able to outspeed the Raikage using just KCM, while Minato was actually able to do a very, very similar feat in base. Now, there are some arguments surrounding this, kind of stating that he teleported while Naruto physically moved, and that the Raikage Naruto fought was also faster than the one Minato faced. Now, there are some truths to this, but I do kind of want to put this a little bit more into perspective, right? First of all, the databook statement a lot of people like to quote that states that he is faster than even the Yellow Flash. That statement itself actually differs depending on where you got that translation from. There are multiple English translations for this statement. Other translations for the same statement state that he was praised to be as fast as the Yellow Flash, which makes more sense because he himself, while he's fighting Naruto, states that now that the Yellow Flash is gone, he is the fastest shinobi, implying that if the Yellow Flash were still alive, he would be faster than the Raikage. So when we're comparing KCM Naruto to KCM Minato essentially has a KCM-like speed stacked on top of his own KCM, right? And I also addressed this in my previous video, but I thought I would address this again. Minato isn't only fast because of his teleportation. That's also a very common misconception. Minato himself is the fastest shinobi of his time, right? He also has an insanely fast body flicker, faster than any of the previous Hokage, including Hashirama, which was praised when he reached the battlefield before any of them did, right? There's also other speed statements which I'm going to get to in a moment, but I do want to focus a little bit on Naruto as well. Naruto's speed feats also should not be seen as outliers, because as during his confrontation with Kisame, even B notes that he thought he teleported and compared him directly to the Yellow Flash, which he actually experienced, which makes sense because that's who KCM Naruto should scale to speed-wise, the base Minato. And Tsunade also does another direct comparison to the Yellow Flash when he outspeeds the Raikage as well, right? Keep in mind, these comparisons are again to base Minato. Now, I mean, Naruto is definitely fast in his own right, but ultimately his speed doesn't really compare, right? This speed is definitely where Minato has the edge. For example, Minato was able to appear in front of Sasuke and KCM Naruto, tank a combined hit from them using a Chidori and Rasengan, which was intended for Jubito, and then he switches places with Tobirama, who brings Jubito into the attack, right? But keep in mind, he did tank this hit, so you can kind of take this as a durability feat and a little bit of as a speed feat. This one was definitely a quick teleportation, but again, Minato's reaction speed is relative to his teleportation speed, because whenever he goes to teleport, he's got to react equally as fast, otherwise there would be a complete imbalance in his speed. For example, when he's facing off against the Raikage, he's able to react just as fast. For example, when the Raikage's fist is pixels away from his face, he's able to react by throwing his kunai and then teleporting to it, all in the time that the Raikage was trying to move a couple centimeters, right? We definitely cannot forget the feat as well, where Edo Minato in base was able to intercept Might Guy using the 8th Gate of Death, who was ragdolling Jubi Madara, and teleport some True Seeking Orbs so fast that if you watch the anime, it appears like Might Guy is moving in slow motion, right? So remember, he was able to react faster, teleport there, and get away, all in the span of time that Might Guy was barely able to move, right? Now, when we're talking about the strength of these two characters, right? Because speed isn't everything, strength is a very important factor as well. We do know that KCM Naruto is strong enough to overpower full-tailed beasts, such as the Four Tails, and is able to easily destroy meteorites created from Nagato himself, stating that he's much more powerful than when he initially fought Pain, which means that all those previous strength feats, we can take that and just amplify that, right? Minato and KCM doesn't really have too many destructive feats that we can quantify, but we can say that he's more likely comparable to KCM2 Naruto, as he was able to restore KCM2 Naruto's chakra, and KCM2 Naruto and Kurama had to repeatedly ask for more chakra from Minato and his half of the Bijou. Now, that on top of the fact that the whole purpose of the KCM2 transformation is to symbolize the mastery of the union between the Jinchuriki and the Tailed Beast. This allows them to both utilize Tailed Beast mode, just as regular KCM Naruto was essentially taking Kurama's chakra by force and was not able to use it to the full extent, right? Because it seems that when Minato utilizes KCM, his is much closer to KCM2, although visually speaking, it can kind of be compared to either or, right? Something worthy to know is that Naruto can also stack his Sage Mode on top of his KCM2, which Minato has not shown to be able to do, but that does not mean that he cannot do it, right? We do know that he's not very confident with his own Sage Mode, which is why he doesn't use it too often, but he does have the identical pigmentation to Naruto, no Toad-like features, and gathers nature energy quickly, which he later showcases in the War Arc, which just goes to show that he mastered it to a certain extent. Now, with both halves of Kurama utilized to similar extents during the joint Rasengans, kind of leads me to believe that Kurama himself won't play too much of a role in this fight, as they both have essentially the same multipliers here, right? This fight basically comes down to who is a more competent base fighter, and so if you take base Naruto before any 6-pass chakra and you take base Minato, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would agree that base Minato would have the edge on this one. And we got to keep in mind that all of the feats that we saw in the War Arc were with an Edo Minato, a weakened Minato, right? So if we were to take an alive Minato who hypothetically had a KCM, the tides would turn even more drastically, right? We know he has more experience, he can utilize similar abilities such as the Rasengan, although to lower mastery, I'll give Naruto the edge on that one. Naruto has more mastery of the Rasengan, for example, when he was able to create the Rasen Shuriken. But he does compensate this with the fact that he is much faster and much more intelligent strategic fighter with more adept sensory skills that base Naruto has not necessarily been praised for previously. Now, as much as I want to give this one to Naruto, his feats in KCM 1 and KCM 2 don't really showcase abilities that Minato himself wouldn't really be able to match. We also didn't see too many of Minato's upper limits, which does make this comparison all the more difficult. So it could go either way. I'll give Naruto the benefit of the doubt, but more likely than not, I would give it in Minato's favor. Yeah, the stacked experience, the potential ceiling jutsus, just the whole package just kind of seals the fight for me. But let me know what you guys think down below. Do you guys think that I missed something? I'm definitely prone to missing some things every once in a while. It is hard to quantify KCM Minato, but like I said previously, there's a lot of kind of hints that can kind of give us an idea and paint a picture to exactly how powerful he is, right? Also, be sure to join the Discord down below, and more importantly, subscribe, drop a like, and I'll catch you in the next one.